Yeah, I know we're all ready, including me, for spring to get going. So we're sitting on the edge of our seats. So we got a little bit more to go. But hey, to put it into context, believe it or not, towards the end of next week, we're going to be cutting off hoop houses. So it's hard to think that we're there, but we're there. So that will start with a lot of the tougher stuff. So if you're having conversations with your customers out there about what's going on in the world, you know, junipers, spruce, pines, taxus, arborvitaes to somewhat, you know, all those really have to, you know, especially if they have white hoop house plastic, got to start thinking about getting that off or they will break too early and they'll look kind of funky. So, and then they become more susceptible to frost and late freezes. So that's what the guys are going to be concentrating on next week, towards the end of the week, get past this little cold spell and we'll get going. So, all right, jump right into it. So we got the new gens. We want to keep talking about these. So Cheryl did a nice side-by-side here. So Independence, there's a 2 gallon there. This is more of a round kind of globy type. And then you got the Independent, I'm sorry, I thought you had both. So you got a 2 and a 3. I'm sorry. So I was talking before I read it. So yeah, you got the 2 different sizes on Independence. But yeah, this is the globe type. Remember, you know, new gen's all about resistance. You know, for the boxwood blight, it also has great resistance to other diseases out there. I did have somebody ask me, does it have resistance to boxwood tree moth? That would be a no. Right now, we know of no boxwood out there. There's been no research really on that to really find if there really is a variety that's resistant to the boxwood tree moth. That's the one they're dealing with in Canada. That's why the border's closed for boxwood shipment. So if you get that question, there has been no research. Nobody knows right now. All boxwood are technically susceptible to it. That's why USDA took that strong measure to close the border off because right now there's no resistance and it can spread pretty quick once it gets into a landscape. So it's an easy insect to kill, which is good. But you have to catch it before it defoliates the plant. And most homeowners aren't going to do that. So it's really going to hit the homeowner hard. In the nursery, it would probably be an easier pest to manage. Not that we want another pest to manage and another reason to spray, but it's kind of, you know, to bring you up to speed with where that thing is. But to kind of get back to it here, a couple of great new boxwood out there. And then remember, we have the Freedom as well. That's more of the eggy shape, kind of upright with a bigger leaf. So you can go 2 different directions here. All right, Cornus Arctic Fire Yellow. So Arctic Fire has had a tough time figuring out what it wants to be. Spring Meadow had to go back to the drawing board and kind of clean things up. So there's an Arctic Fire Red, which we're having difficulty getting. Arctic Fire Red, if they don't do it right, can revert to yellow. But if you get Arctic Fire Yellow, it will be yellow and it'll be yellow all the time. So when it has leaves, the stems will probably be a little greener. And then as the leaves drop, you get that really bright yellow for the rest of the season. So we are continually trying to bring Arctic Fire Red back, but we're being very careful. We got to make sure, obviously, that it's red. So, but we do have yellow available. Great plant. You know, it will get berries on it as it gets older, a little bit smaller. You know, it does have a bloom, but it's more about the stems. It's really nice because we don't notice any kind of dead sticking in it. Mm-hmm. So a lot of Cornus can get that. That's what's cool about this. So, you know, there's like one out there called Bud's Yellow, and there's a couple other ones out there, straight Aurea, that are yellow. They can get some dead sticking in them. over time and look a little trashy as they get older. This one here is not going to do that. Plus, it's a little more compact. It'll last in the landscape a lot longer. So I think it's a really good choice if you're looking for a yellow twig dogwood. All right, summer wine black. So I think we're out of summer wine. Summer wine black, we've talked about this, deeper color. It's got a pretty big leaf. Bloom, the bloom is about the same, but since it's a little more compact, I think the bloom is a little more showy. Summer wine tends to bloom up and down on the stem a little bit, and the bloom can kind of get lost in the leaves, where this one here is going to be a little more striking when it blooms. So that's kind of cool. Darker leaf. It's a little more compact, but it's not as compact as tiny wine or anything. So it's a good mid-size plant. I really like it. They really pushed it because they realized that straight summer wine in some cases can get too big. It can get a little rangy. That's why they went back to the drawing board, did some more breeding, and came up with summer wine black. So I think it's a great plant, great sub for summer wine. We got 900 of those available, so that's a good thing. We just got to keep talking about it. Hydrangea Incredible Lace. So this was a newer one for us this year. This has got to be, we'll call it Big Dave's top pick for 2021. So we really like it. I didn't know a lot about the plant. Usually arborescent types, we got to do a little more. We got to be a little more cautious getting them started in the nursery. You can easily overwater them to get them started. We put these with the paniculatas out there, which take a huge amount of water to get started. And look at these things. I mean, I didn't give them any special care. They didn't have to be in a high tunnel house. The leaves are perfect. They were clean. I was just wowed by this plant all the way through. It's a game changer for arborescence. It doesn't get floppy at all. You can get that sometime with some of the Incredibles, or Annabelle can get a little floppy. This one here is not going to do that. So I really think it's a great way to go, a great choice. I really like it. I think it answered a lot of the growing problems that we've had with some of the other varieties. Not to knock the other varieties too much. They still have their place. But, you got somebody that's looking for something bulletproof in an arborescent, man, I would really go this way. Great plant. We got 700. Limelight Prime. So Limelight Prime, they just went back to the drawing board a little bit, got it a little more stockier. The stem are really thick, which is great for holding up blooms. This is like a super late fall bloom. So, when they bloom really, really late past their normal bloom time, you can get smaller blooms, but it's going to get a really big bloom on it. You will get a little bit of pink hues in there as the flower fully matures, but it's going to be that limelight color when it comes out for most of its time. And then you'll start getting a few pink hues in there. So that's kind of the difference in the flower. Flower is going to be the same size, but look at the leaf. It's really ribbed deep. It's a thick leaf, thick branch. It's going to hold the flower up. It's probably not going to be as much maintenance as a straight limelight could be. So a great introduction, great choice. We got really good availability on that. Pinus Mugo. So is this NC? Yes. So we got NC. So these are the bigger ones. Are we out of the 3-gallon NC?
There's a small number left, but the sevens are what are.
Yeah, we're getting down there on the 3-gallon, but we got some gorgeous sevens out there. 18-inch. They're past that 18-inch mark. Wouldn't call them 24. They're just not quite there for a 24, but a great 18. Great one for the landscaper. A couple of them in the garden center with a display of 3s would be great. So hopefully you can keep talking about these. We are also offering on the 3-gallon, since we're short, we're doing Pumalo, thank you.
And there's plenty available.
And we talked about Pumalo before, little different. But you know, I think it's still a good sub for the 3, but we got 378 of these 7 gallons. So a good place to be on that. And I think that's a great plant to be showing people. Taxus densiformis. So we got some really nice densiformis out there. So Cheryl's showing you a 5. And then also the full 7. So there definitely is a size difference. And there's definitely a difference between the 3 and the 5 as well. So depending on where you want to be, price point wise, size wise, we're over our specs on all 3 sizes, the 3, the 5, and the 7. So it just depends what they're looking for. Typically the 7, I do understand it's more of a late spring, early summer sell. You got a lot of guys out there pushing B&B on the market. But the 5 gallon I really like because it's a good price point, good opportunity for a garden center, or if a landscaper's really watching their costs, you're getting a great value for a bigger plant in a smaller container that's easier to handle. So that's a nice package there, and we got 1,800 of those 5s and 750 of those 7s. So. Viburnum Chicago Luster. You know, this is one that's been out there for a long time. This is kind of a late summer photo, just before they started to harden up. You can see there we got some great growth, great sizing. Chicago Luster, Blue Muffin is the proven winner one. They're very similar. Chicago Luster, though, is going to be more of a darker berry. Some people say it's kind of purple. Some say it's black. I don't know. It's kind of in between there. Bulletproof, very tough plant, extremely hardy, does very well. It has a great glossy leaf. That's where the luster is about the leaf more than it is the berry. But you know, for a viburnum, you got a berry, attracts wildlife, birds, those kind of things. It has a really nice flower. It's pure white flower. Doesn't last a very long time, but it will have a spring flower after the foliage pushes out. So that's a nice thing to have, and then it will start loading up with those berries. So, and we have, we're getting down there. Are we out of Blue Muffin?
Yes.
I think we're out of Blue Muffin. So Chicago Luster would definitely be the one you want to push towards. Just make sure they understand, hey, you know, Chicago Luster is more of a purpley berry than it is like a blueberry. So, Wygelia, is this a collage?
Yes.
Ooh, I'm always surprised at what Cheryl does for me last minute. So we have a collage. So that's good. It kind of gives you some choices there of what we have available. So Electric Love, you know, we've talked about this one in the Stunner, or both in the Bloom and Easy program. Electric Love is going to be the red flower. The Stunner is going to be more of that pinkish flower. Electric Love is probably a mid-size one. Stunner is going to get wider than it gets taller. Stunner is great. It's a very tough one, and it can be, I don't want to use aggressive in the wrong way. I think it's aggressive in a good way. I've seen this one outperform other Wygelias in tough situations. It's not going to get so big that it's going to outgrow the area, but it's got an aggressive root system. So if you're putting it in a tough situation, like really tight soils, rough areas to grow in, I think it's your best bet as far as any Wygelia to be adaptable to that. That's the biggest thing. It's kind of a plant geeky thing. It's sometimes hard to sell, but it is a good point for people who struggle with getting plants going and don't particularly have a green thumb. This would be a great plant to lean towards because it would make everybody happy. And it would be, it's not impossible to kill, but it'd be tough to kill. So 2 great selections. We got really good availability on those. And then Wine and Rose, Wine and Rose has been out there for a long time. This is more of a globy, kind of upright globy one. It's fairly adaptable. It's got a long track record. It's also going to have more of a pinky flower to it. All three of these have the red foliage. So they have little differences in them. They each have their standout. I like the Electric Love because it's a huge leaf on it. It's Cheryl's favorite, so that's why you got to take it. Stunner, I really like because of its adaptability as a plant. And Wine and Rose is just kind of it's the one that really kind of got things started. It's the old man in the group, the wise man. So it's been around. It's got a long track record. People have a lot of confidence in it. So you got three different choices here, three different ways to go.
One more. It didn't fit on the other slide.
Oh, okay.
Sorry.
So she got Shining Sensation. So originally, Willoway came out with this introduction. We didn't get very far with it because it came out at the same time as with the PTW program as Proven Winners hit the market with all of their introductions. So we kind of got lost, and Shining Sensation just didn't make it out. So it got worked around, and the original breeder brought it back out and pushed it into the first edition program. So it's now a first edition plant. The reasons we originally brought it on are still good reasons to bring it in. It came out of real tough northern breeding. We really like that. It's got a narrow leaf. It can resist scorching. So if you have a real tough area where you got some reflectiveness or something like that off a building or something, it can resist that because it's got a real thick, waxy cutin. It's not a shiny one. It's more like you got in finishes, you got a semi-gloss and a gloss. I would call it a semi-gloss finish, but it's very thick. So it can really help protect that leaf and keep that leaf looking good. So that's kind of nice. And then it does, it does flower. Probably it's reasonable for flowering. It's not as good of a repeat flower as some of them are, but you still get several blooms through it. And we have this in a 2-gallon, so you can see there the size of it. You got a 3-gallon size plant in a 2-gallon, so that really going to help with the price. So if you got some price conscious people out there and they resist kind of going into the 3-gallon, but they want a bigger plant, there you go. So I don't think you can go wrong there. All right. I know we processed a few things this week. I think everything went okay. All bets are off with this next round of weather. I could not tell you when we could really get back out there and process till we get a better read on the forecast next week. But pot and pot is very difficult. Once it freezes, even if we don't get a lot of snow, it locks that pot in there and you can't get it out. So that makes it difficult, but keep getting your requests in, get them in through Lee and all the channels, and Nick will work it out and he'll get with the group and see what we can do. We definitely want to, we want to process some stuff. We're willing to do it. It's just if Mother Nature will let us do it. So the more we get out early, obviously the better it's going to make some of our pressure windows. So, and I do appreciate that a lot of our customers, especially the ones taking some stuff early, might be looking to shift it. So it's kind of time sensitive. So we understand that too. So we'll do everything we can to get it.